installment of the Daf Yomi. We are in Temurah. Today's Daf is Yud Aleph. We're picking it up near the bottom of Yud Amid Beis. Today's Talmud Torah sponsor is Uncle Mike Holtzman, in honor of all who keep the Daf Yomi going, which is all of us, Rabbi, and a lot of people who aren't in the room just yet. But we're going to get started. We're going to get a little running start here. We are 3 lines up from the bottom of Yud, and we've been talking about the kedusha of a fetus, of an ubar, in the uterus of the mother animal. And yesterday we started on this amazing disagreement. The Mishnah was talking about the kedusha of limbs, of body parts of animals, and of ubarim, of the fetuses. And in the Gemara, we brought this machlokes between Bar Pada and Rabbi Yochanan. And Bar Pada said, Ein kedusha chalo ubrin, that a fetus can't get kedusha. He means an independent status of sanctity, of holiness. Rabbi Yochanan says, kedusha chalo ubarin. Rabbi Yochanan said that even in the uterus, the animals can have their own independent kedusha. And therefore, the example we gave yesterday was Rabbi Yochanan said if the mother was a chatas is always a female animal, and then the child also we have to treat with the stringencies of a chatas because it has its own independent kedusha. Rabbi Yochanan understands that a child in the uterus has its own special status. There's an amazing Gemara, and it's not really related to Temurah, but we're going to say it anyway. There's a Gemara in Kedushin, Lamed Aleph Amid Beis. Rabbi Yochanan says, I'm very fortunate to have been an orphan. So talk about making lemonade out of lemons. So Rabbi Yochanan never met his parents. Rabbi Yochanan's father had passed away and his mother perished in childbirth. He says he's fortunate to never met his parents because the mitzvah of Kibud Av Va'em is very demanding and very difficult. And so he had this maila in a sense. But he understood, this is my Hasidic Vart, I think Rabbi Yochanan understood that he already had his own kedusha in his mother's uterus, that his mother was a tzedekis, but even though he wasn't able to meet his mother or even meet his father, he was continuing the kedusha of his family because he had an independent kedusha already in utero. Rabbi Yochanan felt that he had this kedusha. So I'm making a bit of a jump here that Rabbi Yochanan's opinion by animals would apply to his own personal life, but it could be. And I look forward to meeting Rabbi Yochanan and ask him if that's what he meant. Could be. So we're 3 lines up at the bottom of Yud Amid Beis. We're continuing to discuss the kedusha of an animal in the belly of the beast, as it were. And Rabbi Yirmiyah has been asking kashas on Rabbi Zera to say, Rabbi Zera, do you really hold like Bar Pada that a fetus can't have independent kedusha? So here we are, 3 lines up. Eisivei, and this is Eisivei Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera. Makdishin Evarim ve'ubrim. We can be makdish, we can give kedusha to limbs and to fetuses. Avalo mamirin, but they don't make it Temurah. This is a Mishnah later on in the second parak, just 6 days from now, Rabbi Sai, is a preview of coming attractions. So it seems to be you can make kedusha on a fetus, but it doesn't have enough kedusha to make Temurah. So Achanami, Rabbi Zera would answer him, this also is Vlade Kodshim, is the offspring of a carbon. If you made the mother a carbon, then when the baby comes out, it has its own kedusha, but only because the mother was kaddish, not because it has an independent chashivas already as an ubar. Ibla Vlade Kodshim, Rabbi Yirmiyah says, if we're only talking about the offspring of a carbon, by makdishin, what does the Mishnah mean when it says you can be makdishit? Hakadishe v'kaimei. Because we know the offspring of a carbon has kedusha. So what does the Mishnah have to tell us that we're being makdishit? So turning over to 11a1 Yud Aleph at the top. Achi Kamar. This is what the Mishnah is really teaching us. It's saying makdishin evarim. You can be makdish the limb of an animal, umemirin behem, and make it create temurah, in the sense that the kedusha will spread out. Being makdish the limb, the kedusha will spread out into the whole animal, and now this holy animal, being a carbon, can make another animal a temurah if you're trying to switch it. Aval lo memirin, but it wouldn't make a temurah just from the limb. Aval lo memirin evarim behen. But you can't switch the kedusha onto merely a limb. Just merely a limb alone won't get. The ubarin and the fetuses that we're concerned about, shekodshu b'me'iman, that got sanctity as a carbon in utero, ein mamirin behem, they can't make a temurah. So I bevlade kodshim b'me'iman hu. So if we're talking about the offspring of a carbon, that you made the mother into carbon, and so the ubar, the fetus, automatically gets a kedusha. So it's only in utero they don't make temurah. They don't have enough sanctity yet. They don't have an independent kedusha to make another animal temurah. Ha'abrai, but once they get outside, barai is like outside, like baraisa. Avdei, once they're born, they could make a temurah. So therefore, we see the offspring of a carbon has its own independent kedusha to make something else into a temurah. It has enough kedusha itself to make a new animal into a temurah if he was meimer with the offspring. V'hatnon, and also the Mishnah teaches ein havlados osin temurah, that offspring don't make a temurah. So offspring of kodshim that didn't have their own independent kedusha, he wasn't mekadesh the child as a carbon, only the mother. These could make it. These could not make a temurah. Hamani Rabbi Yehuda he. Well, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. But we're going to see later. Rabbi, who says that the mere offspring, if he was makdish the mother to be a carbon, the mere offspring can't make a temurah. They don't have enough independent kedusha. So Rabbi Yehuda, if that's Rabbi Yehuda, Eivarim mikodshe. Does he say limbs can become kodesh? Because the Mishnah that we brought at the bottom here, which is going to be in the second parak, it said limbs and fetuses. It said both of them. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold this? Rabbi Yehuda does not hold by the following concept. Omer ragla shelzo ola. He says the leg of this animal is an ola. Kula ola. This kedusha spreads out to the entire animal to make the whole thing an ola. We're going to see a lot more beside Amud Beis, which leg or which part of the leg we're talking about, because we've already seen yesterday that it seems that we're about to say again, Rabbi Yehuda agrees by certain parts of the animal that if you make a certain part of the animal kaddish, it might spread to everything. Amar lehacha b'maiskina. So here, what are we dealing with? B'devar she'osei asa treifa, something that would make the animal treifa. If he's makdish that body part to become a carbon, then Rabbi it spreads out to the whole thing. Now, yesterday we had said davar sheneshama tuluya ba. We had said yesterday the lashon was something that the life of the animal depends on. Rabbi Yehuda agrees if you make that part holy, then it spreads to the whole thing. And here we say something that's osei treifa. Now, actually, on Amud Beis, we're going to say another lashon also. So we're going to see exactly on Amud Beis which body parts Rabbi Yehuda says if he's makdish this, then it spreads to everything else. But that's the spreading out is Amud Beis issue. We're getting back to the ubar issue. So leimek hitanai. Let's say it's a machlokas tanaim if the ubar, the fetus, has an independent kedusha separate from the mother or not. Hashochet es achatas. So he shekted the chatas. Now a little review of kodshim. Anyone can do shchita kasher bazar. You don't need a kohen to do shchita, but you need the kohanim to do all the avodot after shchita. So they shekted the chatas. The chatas is always a female. Umatzah ba, and now they're butchering it up. And mazel tov, it has a baby inside, but it's a ben arba chai. It's a 4-month-old baby. Now we know from Chulin that usually behemoth dakas give birth after how long? I heard a 6. Could I get a 5? Good, wonderful. 5 months. It could be 5.5. We're not wrong here. I'm not. If we have any shepherds here, any shepherds? No shepherds. So we can't verify. But about 5 months. So if it's 4 months old, it's not fully developed. And so mazel tov, it's an alive baby, but it's not fully developed in the mother. So Katane Chada, one baraisa teaches about this child, the child animal. So it's a bonus. The Kohanim can eat part of the meat from this chatas, and now they have a bonus. They can eat the veal also, the child also. So one baraisa says, Eino ne'acheles ela lezichrei kechuna. It can only be eaten by male Kohanim, which is the same din as the chatas meat. Ve'eino ne'acheles ela fnimin akloim, and it can only be eaten inside the curtains. We know in the days of the Mishkan that inside the curtains was where they would eat the kodshim, and now that here Rabbi so 3 weeks we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. So now that we don't have a base of mikdash, but when we had a base of mikdash, inside the walls, Rabbi say, was where they could eat the kodshim. That was the equivalent to inside the curtains. Ve'ena ne'achelis ela liyom. It could only be eaten for one day. That's the din of a chatas. It could only be eaten for one day. So when we say karbanos, sometimes the davening is very fast. You don't get a chance. When we say karbanos right before shachris, you'll see that there's time limits for a lot of the kodshim. Some of them are a day, some are a day and a night, some are day, night, day. By a chatas kodshim, it can only be eaten for one day, and only by the kohanim, and only inside the curtains or inside the walls of the base of mikdash. Bimheira yibane. And echad, the other yom echad. So Tanya idach. The other version says, what do we do with this animal, this 4-month-old animal they found inside the chatas? Necheles l'kol adam. Anyone can eat it. It's chulin necholin b'chol makam. It can eat in any place. Ve'enu necholin be'azara. Now there's another girsa here that says necheles la'olam. You can eat it without a time limit. But it is actually an issue, perhaps, if it's chulin, perhaps you should not eat it in the azara, because we don't bring chulin into the azara. Now, it might be it was already in the azara because the mother was a carbon, so maybe the kohanim could get away with making a quick barbecue right there in the temple grounds, but maybe the girsa should be, it's necheles la'olam, to contrast from a chatas, which is only eaten for one day. The meat of this 4-month-old baby they found in the chatas could be eaten forever. I mean, not literally forever. If you make beef jerky out of it, maybe. My love Tanaihi. So we can say this is a machlokes Tanayim about the issue of if this child had independent kedusha. We understand if the child animal had independent kedusha, we should be machmir and treat its meat like a chatas, just like the mother animal. Tanaihi Demar Savar Kedusha Chal Ubrin. One holds sanctity is chal on the ubar, on the fetus itself, like Rabbi Yochanan said like yesterday. Amar Savar Ein Kedusha Chal al Ubrin. The other one says Kedusha is not chal on the fetus itself. Lo, so maybe that's not the machlokes. Hanei Tanai, but how come if maybe these baraisas disagree in this aspect? Demar Savar, one holds Vlados Kodshim behavayasan hen kedoshim. When do they become kodesh? Behavayasan. That means in their becoming, when they're born. When they're born in the normal fashion, after 5 months or so, that's when they get a kedusha. But if they are, basically this was a C-section. This was a 4-month-old C-section after they shechted the mother, and so that wouldn't be kodesh yet. Marsavar vladi kodshim b'meiman hen kedoshim. The other one holds already in the belly of the beast, in utero, they already get a kedusha. That's like Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi say, pop quiz, would this 4-month-old fetus in the chatas need its own shechita? I hear a few no's. Oh. Wow, real beautiful. So we're going to have a 10-second review of chulin. They have a parak behema hamekosha. The animal was in the throes of labor, and they shechted the animal because Nebuch, the mother, wasn't going to make it, and Mazel Tov, there was a live animal inside. You could eat that animal without shechita on a deraisa level. Now, derabanan, if an animal's walking around, you understand it should probably get a shechita, otherwise it looks ridiculous, but deraisa, it doesn't need shechita. And remember in the Mishnah over there, we said if it stuck out its leg, and then the leg came back in, it was a really hard labor, Rabbi. So the fetus stuck out its leg, and then the leg went back in, so then when you open it up and take it out, so that one limb was an aver min achai. You couldn't eat that, but you could eat the rest of the animal. So that's our review, al regel achas, on one leg of shchitas chulin. Beautiful. So maybe that was the machlokes, ibai seima, but you could also learn it like this. Chad tanahu. It's really one teacher. One teacher is teaching both aspects, that we need to be machmir by the meat of this 4-month-old fetus that we found, and the same teacher is teaching we can be makel, that anyone can eat it, that it's not like a chatas. And hada mechalein, one of these masnisa b'makdish behema. One of these teaching is when he made the mother behema into a carbon, and after that she got pregnant. And the other one, where we have to be machmir, is when he was makdish as a chatas, he already knew it was pregnant. So if the owner knew the mother animal was pregnant, he made it as chatas, and he had in mind also that the ubar, the baby inside the mother, would also get kedusha as a chatas for achrayis, to be the backup in a way. I better say there is an amazing halacha in kedushin, and I don't know if it's famous, but if it's not famous, we're going to make it here famous because we're streaming live. So the Shulchan Aruch says, what if you go to your friend? Now, Rabbi, I'm not saying try this at home. Please do not try this at home. You go to your friend and his wife is pregnant, and you say, "Oh, b'shat tova mitzlachas." And you say, "You know what? You're a beautiful family. I love you guys. If it's a daughter, she's mikudeshesli. You know, here's some money. You give money to the father, and you're mikadesh the ubar in his wife's belly." Does that work? So the Shulchan Aruch Paskins in Even Ezer Mem Halacha Ches, he says Eina Mikudeshes, but the Rambam and some Mefarshim say it's Mikudeshes, so you need to be careful. Don't try this at home. The little girl might need a get. You know, when she's born, you're going to say Mazel Tov on your daughter and Mazel Tov on the Shidduch. You know, she's already Mikadesh. She's already a married woman. So the Rambam says if he was Mikadesh, the ubar in the stomach of his friend's wife, and the friend obviously accepted the kiddushin for it, that if it was hukar ubar, if the pregnancy was noticeable, then if it's a girl, mazel tov, she's married. But when she comes out, you should do another kiddushin, she'ein bahen dofi, that doesn't have loose ends. We'll translate dofi like loose ends. There's no questions on it. What's going on here is, first of all, a father can accept kiddushin for his minor daughter. If you have a young daughter at home, fathers, you can accept kiddushin and she's married. Don't do that. The Gemara says don't do that. The Tosfos over there in kiddushin says sometimes we do this. Tosfos says sometimes we do this because there are crusades going on and people keep stealing our money, so we can't make a wedding, or God forbid, murdering the people before the shidduch takes place. So if your daughter's 10 or 11 and you can get a good shidduch and you can make a seuda, go ahead and do it, b'shas adchak, but the Gemara says don't do it. So with Baruch Hashem, we don't live in the times of the crusades. There's no reason to do this. Please do not accept kiddushin for your minor daughters. And the second thing going on is, why does the Rambam say you need a second kiddushin after she's born? So she's an Eishes Ish already. The Kiddushin should have worked because we saw her in the belly. So there's two aspects here in Kiddushin. One is the Kiddusha, the holiness, that this woman is now designated to this man, and that's an exclusive relationship. That's the Kiddusha. But there's another aspect of marriage, that's the Kinyan, that's the financial aspect. By buying and selling, Rabbi said, by financial matters, by contracts, you can't sell something that is not in the world yet. So if you're trying to sell a car and it's never been assembled, you can't sell that car. Now, this is different by futures. You can sell future interests. The Gemara calls it deka lepirosav, selling the palm tree for the fruit. That there's no fruit on the palm tree right now, but it's a date palm. It's going to make the fruit. So you can sell those fruits when they come. You're selling the dekel, selling the tree for the fruits. That's future interests. Jews are good at future interests. Baruch Hashem, a lot of stockbrokers, we know how to do that. But something that's not in the world, you can't sell it because the buyer doesn't rely on it coming into the world. There's no smichas adas, there's no reliance, there's no lahavdil in contracts. They call it a meeting of the minds. There's no reliance that this thing will come into the world and be able to change hands. So by the financial aspect of marriage, it needs a new kiddushin for all the financial obligations that a husband has to the wife, and vice versa. That didn't really take effect, because even though we saw that the woman was pregnant, the little girl was not yet in the world. But again, don't try this at home, friends. So, good. Moving on. Right in the middle of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph 11a. Tznan. There's a Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Rabbi Eliezer says a kilayim, that's a mixed breed animal, and a treifa, that's an animal with a serious medical problem that we can't eat it, and most people say it's not going to live 12 months. V'yotze dofin, and something that is out of the wall, that means a cesarean section. That means it didn't come out the normal birth canal, it came out through the wall of the mother. Tumtum, that's an animal or a person, it also could be, lo aleinu, where the reproductive organs are covered up, so we don't know what it exactly is, if it's a boy or a girl. So you see this sometimes nowadays. You see something you don't know, is that an ugly girl or just a pretty boy? You see, because some people, there's a lot of confusion there. But androgynous has both reproductive parts. Lo kiddushin, they don't get kiddusha. Velo makdishin, they don't make something else kadosh. Amar Shmuel explains, Rabbi Eliezer, lo kiddushin b'temurah, they can't become kadosh as a carbon through the process of temurah. Velo makdishin lasos temurah, and they don't make something else kadosh if you're trying to switch something out with it. they don't make a Temurah. So these animals that can't become a carbon, they can't also make become a Temurah or make something a Temurah. The Tanya, and there's a Brisa, Amar Rabbi Meir, maybe the Girsa is Amar Rabbi. There's a lot of Girsa changes in Temurah. It's not just Yehuda giving you a Girsa. There's a lot of changes in the Girsa. So Amar Rabbi could be Me'achar she'enan kedoshin, because they're not kadosh. Heich makdishin. How can they make something else kadosh? So these things can't be a carbon. They have a mum, they have a treifa, they have a problem where they can't become a carbon. So what's the havamina? Why would I have thoughts that they can make something else kadosh with Temurah? Iyatam motze ele b'makdish behema. So we only find it where he's makdish a behem v'achrach nitrafa, and then nebuch gets a treifa. So it was a perfectly good tam. It was a valid to become a carbon, but then nebuch it got a medical problem and now it's a treifa. Or b'makdish vlad v'yatsa derech dofen. He's makdish the vlad. He's makdish the ubar, the fetus inside, and then it came out with a C-section. So that would not be able to become a carbon. But he was makdish it when it was able to become a carbon, so it could make something else. We have the havamina, we might have thought it could make something else with Temurah. Alma Kaddish Vlad. We see from here, we can be makdish a ubar, a fetus, to become a carbon. Amre, betam b'mei tzmima, by a tam is a unblemished animal in the uterus of a tzmima, that the mother is also unblemished. Afilu bar pada nami mode. So bar pada, who said animals, when they're a fetus, can't have their independent kedusha, he would agree to Rabbi Yochanan. Dik Kodesh, it could get a kedusha to have the status of a carbon, that it might make a Temurah. Lo nechlaku, he doesn't disagree with Rabbi Yochanan. Ele betam b'mei balas mum. He disagrees where the fetus is perfectly good, but the mother has a problem that it can't be a carbon. Bar pada savar kaven ze ime lo mikdasha, lo makdisha. It could be lo mikdasha. The mother can't become sanctified with kedushas haguf, with physical sanctity. Hunami, so her offspring, the fetus inside the mother, lo kadesh. It also can't get kedushas haguf, so it also can't have its own independent sanctity on the offspring to make something else a Temurah. Rabbi Yochanan Savar. Rabbi Yochanan, we know, held that the offspring, the ubar, the fetus, could become kadosh even in utero. Rabbi Yochanan Savar, he holds hane kishtei behemas ninhu, that the mother and the child are like two different animals. So imehi to lo mikdasha, if the mother is a balas mu, she has a problem, she can't be a carbon, so fine, she can't get kedusha in her goof. Avalhu, but the offspring, he's a tam, he's perfectly valid to become a carbon. Kadosh, he could get kedusha saguf, and then there's a havamina, he could make a Temurah. Lishnachrina, another version of all kilayim, the tumtum androgynous. These, the mixed breed, or the tumtum androgynous, we're not sure if it's male or female. We can't find them except for the offspring of Kedoshim, because these things, the kilayim, tumtum androgynous, you can't make that animal into a carbon from the get-go. So it must be, the only time it has a kedusha is if the mother was normal, he was makdish the mother, and then Mazel Tov or Nebuch at the same time, it gave birth to a kilayim or tumtum androgynous, which is not valid as a carbon, but because the mother was a carbon, it still has this residual kedusha on it, so we have an assumption, maybe it could make a Temurah. Rabbi Yehuda, and it's like Rabbi Yehuda, Shahaya Omer Rabbi Yehuda says, Havlad Ose Temurah, that the offspring of a carbon, this is when he was only makdish the mother and not the baby in utero, but Mazel Tov, the carbon mother had a child, he says that has enough kedusha there to make something else a Temurah. So halein hu delo kadshi gufayu. So these, that their body can't become kadosh because they are a kilayim, a mixed breed, or a tumtum androgynous, so they can't become a kadosh themselves as a carbon. Aval ubri necherim, but other fetuses kadoshim, they can become kadosh as a carbon. So we see Rabbi Yehuda says these ones have a problem because they're a kilayim, or they have a problem. They can't get kedusha saguf, so therefore they cannot make something else a Temurah, even though their mother was a carbon. They don't have enough kedusha themselves to make a carbon through Temurah. But a normal offspring, if the mother was a carbon and then had a normal baby that was valid to become a carbon, they could make something a Temurah. So we see that Rabbi Yehuda would agree that a Vlad, the ubar, the fetus, has enough kedusha to make something else a Temurah. Amar Abaye, tam b'mei tzmima, divrei kol kodesh. So we say again, Abaye says a perfectly valid animal could become a carbon in the uterus of a kosher animal, the kosher mother. She could become a carbon. So there's machlokus there. Kaddish gufe, that their body could be endowed with kedusha. Ela ki pligi b'mei balas mum. If the offspring is in the uterus of a balas mum, the barpada savar, as we just said, kevan to ime, because the mother nami lo kaddish, or she is not lo mikdasha, she can't become kaddish gufa. Her body can't have physical sanctity as a carbon because she's a balas mum. Ihu nami lo kaddish. So the offspring, even though he's a tam, barpada says can't become kaddish. Ela only for its value. Understand, something could be kodshim from mizbeach. You can make an animal. You could say it's an ola for the mizbeach, or you could say its value. I'm going to sell it and bring an ola. So it could only become kodshim for the dmei, for the monetary sanctity of it. Rabbi Yochanan savar uber lav yerech imohu. He says the fetus is not like the yerech, like the thigh of the mother. It's not merely a limb of the mother. But again, this is Rabbi Yochanan with his personal life, being an orphan. He knows that the fetus already has an independent existence, has an independent ability to get kedusha on it. Afogov to ime lo kadsha, even though its mother can't become a carbon, can't have kedusha saguf because she's a balas mum. Kadsha lagufa, she can't have kedusha saguf again. Vlad miha kaddish lagufe, but the offspring, being a tam, he is rawi, he is fitting to get a kedusha haguf. It's beautiful. This is the sugya of the ubar inside the animal. If it has kedusha, and we paskin Rabbi Yochanan, Rambam paskin Rabbi Yochanan, that the ubar does have an independent kedusha, it does have an independent chashivas, even without the mother, that it gets a sort of kedusha. Good. So now we're moving on to limbs. Amar Rabbi Yossi, Halo Mikdoshin, Omer Ragla Shalzu. Going back to our Mishnah, what does he say in our Mishnah? Rabbi Yossi says, by mukdashin, by making something sanctified, ha'omer, someone says, ragla sholzo ola, he says the leg of this animal is an ola, kula ola, so it spreads out, according to Rabbi Yossi, and the whole thing is an ola. So he says, af kashiyomer ragla sholzo tachazo, when you make a temurah, kula temurah tachteya. So limb could make a temurah also. So we're going to see what kind of leg are we talking about here. We're going to see on Ahmed Beis, Rabbi Yossi, what we're talking about. This is the sugya of kedusha spreading out. Good, so now we're on 11b, the top of Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Tani Rabbanon, the rabbi's teaching a Baraisa, Yachol, you would have thought, Ha'omer Ragla Sholzo Ola, Take Kula Ola. If you just say the leg is an Ola, that everything's an Ola. But Talmud Lomar, but the Torah teaches, Kol Asher Yiten Mimenu Lashem Ye Kodesh. Anything that you give Mimenu from it, part of it, to Hashem, that will be Kodesh. So they learn this as Mimenu Lashem V'lo Kulu Hashem, that it's possible to be Makdish Mimenu from part of it will now belong to Hashem, will have Kedusha, V'lo Kulu Hashem, and not necessarily all of it. So just being Makdish, you understand the leg, they say, but it could be something like the tail or the ear, something that's a small part. That doesn't mean all of it becomes Kodesh to Hashem. Yachol Teitzei L'chula, and you might have thought you could redeem this part of the animal if he was Makdish the leg. We're going to see it's the lower leg, or the tail, the ear, or something like this. You might have think you could redeem it, you can buy it back. Talmud Lamar, Yihye Kodesh. If he is Mekadesh part of the animal, it's stuck. He can't redeem it. He can't undo that. He can't buy it back. Usually, if you're Makdish an animal, you could buy it back from the base Mikdash. HaKetzad, so how does this work? What does he do with it now? He's an animal running around with a holy tail. The tail is an ola, and the rest of the animal is not, but he can't redeem it. What do you do? Timacher letzorkei ola. Sell the entire animal to somebody who needs to bring an ola, somebody who's obligated to bring an ola. But usually an ola we bring as a nedava, as a gift. Now there is a concept we bring an ola is also mechaper on a bittul aseh. So if you, not you, because you guys are all here early, but if somebody forgets to put his tefillin on, that's a mitzvah's aseh, so then to fix it, he can bring an ola. So it doesn't really fix it, but you understand that's mechaper on a bittul aseh. But so now there's this animal running around. The tail has kedusha of ola, so he sells it to somebody who needs or wants to bring an ola. V'demei chulin, and the money he gets is chulin money. Chutz midzmei ever shaba, except for that leg or that tail that he can't charge for that. He doesn't own that anymore. If you own the entire shore except for the tail, then when you sell it to someone who wants to bring this shore as an ola, you can't charge for the tail or whichever part you were already makdish as the ola. So this is Divrei Rabbi Meir for Rabbi Yehuda. So this is the opinion of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, that you can be makdish one limb and the kedusha stays in that one limb and can't come out. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, they say differently. Omer minayin, the Omer ragla shozu ola, shekula ola. So how do we learn out that being makdish, just the limb of the animal, that it all spreads out? Shneamar, they bring the same pasuk. Kol asher yitin mimenu lashem. Anything that you give some of it to Hashem, and it's kodesh lashem, kodesh mimenu lashem. Anything you're giving some of it, it's lashem. So yitin mimenu, if you're giving some of it, it's lashem. So they're just putting the comma in a different place than Rabbi Yehuda did. Kashu omer yeh kodesh. So when the pasuk says yeh kodesh, the Rabbi says kulo. So now that you've given mimenu lashem, it's yeh kodesh. It's all of it becomes kodesh. So you've only given part of the animal, but they say, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon, they say it spreads the whole animal. So Amar Mar, so let's go back to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Timakir l'tzorchei olos. What do you do with this animal where the foot or the tail or the ear has kedusha of ola, but not the rest of it? You can't redeem it, so you sell it to somebody who needs or wants to bring an ola. Kamaise, but the second person, when he brings the animal, he's bringing behema michuseres aver, an animal that's missing a limb. Because what did he buy? He bought from you the entire ox, but you had already been mekadesh the legs, the foot. So when he brings the animal, he wasn't makdish that foot. So it's as if it's mechuser aver. You understand? You can't bring mamish and mechuser aver because that's a mum. If an animal's missing a body part, even if it doesn't make it a treifa, we still can't bring that. It's a bizayon. It's not nice for the Beis Hamikdash to bring such an animal. Not nice to Hashem, really, not just the Beis Hamikdash. But I'm saying Beis Hamikdash, you understand, because it's in 3 weeks, and I'm missing the Beis Hamikdash. So good. So he's bringing a beheva mechuseres aver. Amar Rava b'elmaharei alai ola bechayeha. So Rava is saying, and the Rashi explains, the second person said, I want to bring an ola from its vital organs. The hakriv kol evarim shebehema chayim amenu. So he's saying, I want to bring an ola, but not necessarily from every little hoof to tail of the ola, but the vital parts of the ola, that this would be a valid nidava, that the second guy wants to bring his ola from bechayeha, from the vital parts. And the Rashi explains further, because if it was not like this, if the first person, if Reuven had been makdish a vital organ, that Rabbi Yehuda would agree, as we saw, that it spreads out. If it's a vital organ, neshama tluyaba, or if it makes it a treifa, Rabbi Yehuda would agree to that the kedusha spreads to everything. So here the first person was makdish only a small part of the animal, the foot or the tail or something, and the second person is going to bring an ola bechayeha from the vital parts of the animal. So it doesn't really matter if, from kedusha wise, the animal was missing the foot, because the foot is physically there, so it's not a bal mum. Amar Rav Chisda modi Rabbi Yehuda b'dvar she'oseh asa treifa. So Rav Chisda says Rabbi Yehuda agrees, if something that makes a treifa, then the kedusha will spread to the entire animal. Rava Amar b'dvar she'oseh asa nevela. Rava says it has to be something that makes it a nevela. Rav Sheshes Amar b'dvar shehi mesa, something that kills the animal. We're about to find out, Rabbi. Don't jump out of your seats just yet. We're about to find out exactly what the difference is between treifa, nevela, and mesa. My ika bein Rav Chisda the Rava. What's the difference between Rav Chisda, who says treifa, and Rava says nevela? Ika benaihu treifa chaya. They disagree if the mitzias is if a treifa might live longer than 12 months. Rav Chisda savar la kemandam or treifa ein chaya. Rav Chisda says, listen, if it's a treifa, it's not going to live 12 months. It's as good as dead. No one's going to sell it life insurance. Rava savar la Rabbi Meir. Treifa chaya, that a treifa could continue living past 12 months, so therefore it needs to be a nevela to be really as good as dead, which would mean that the being makdish this particular limb that would make it a nevela would make the kedusha spread everywhere according to Rabbi Yehuda. Umay ika bein Rava Rav Sheshes. So Rava said it makes it a nevela. Rav Sheshes says makes it mesa, makes it dead. Ika bein Ahud Rabbi Elazar. There's a Rabbi Elazar we had in Chulin. Tamar Rabbi Elazar nitla yerech bechol shala nevela. If it took out the yerech, is the thigh, the upper part of the leg. So understand that the entire leg was ripped out, nebuch, of this animal, and there's a cholol. Now there's the gap there. You see the empty space where the top of the thigh, that round bone, used to be. So that's a nevela, it's not only as good as dead, but it's metame now, has tuma already as nevela. We understand this animal is still living, will be living for a short time, obviously, but it's still breathing and the heart's still beating. But once that entire leg is gone and it has that hole in it, it's as good as dead, and it's not only that, it's as good as nevela. It's metame. Rava Savar like Rabbi Elazar, he holds like Rabbi Elazar that it's as good as dead, so therefore Rabbi Yehuda would agree that if he took the entire leg up to the cholol, the kedusha would spread. If he was makdish that entire leg, the kedusha would spread to the entire animal. Rav Sheshis lo Savar like Rabbi Elazar. Rav Sheshis needs something that would make it dead right now, dead right there in its tracks, something like the heart, something like the windpipe, or the kane or the veshet. Taking those would make the animal a mesa, dead right now. So there's a three-way machlokis of which body part is chashuv enough in the animal that Rabbi Yehuda would agree that being makdish that body part makes the entire animal kodesh. So meisivei, let's challenge all three opinions at once. Amar Rebbe. Rebbe says nirin divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So he says, I like the words of Rabbi Yehuda that kedusha does not spread. B'davar she'ein neshama tluya bo, for a body part that the neshama does not depend on it. So Rebbe would agree it doesn't spread like Rabbi Yehuda. Divrei Rabbi Yossi, but Rebbe says, I like the words of Rabbi Yossi for a body part that the life of the animal depends on it, that the kedusha should spread. So it sounds a bit contradictory here. Vav miklal de poligale, the Rabbi Yehuda. So it sounds like Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda for a davar sheneshama tluyaba, for a vital organ. Bishlama nirin divrei Rabbi Yehuda b'davar she'ein neshama tluyaba. We understand when Rebbe says, I like the words of Rabbi Yehuda for a non-vital organ. He agrees that kedusha doesn't spread. We call it the poligale to Rabbi Yossi because Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with Rabbi Yossi about that. Ela nirin divrei Rabbi Yossi b'davar sheneshama tluyaba. But when Rebbe says, I agree to Rabbi Yossi for something that's a vital organ, Lav miklal to poligale to Rabbi Yehuda. This implies that Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda, that Rabbi Yehuda would never agree to Rabbi Yossi, even for a vital organ. Tiyufta dekulu. So this is a tiyufta, this is what we call an upschlag, I think that's Spanish, to all of these opinions, whether it's Rava, Abaye, Chisda, whether it's a treifa, nevela, or a mesa right now. This is what Rabbi means to say. So we're missing something. This is what Rabbi is saying. Nirin divrei Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. So the words of Rabbi Yossi that kedusha spreads, they are nire to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda would agree to Rabbi Yossi b'davar sheneshama tluya bo. So Rabbi is telling us when he says nirin, he's not saying, well, I like this part of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion and I like this part of Rabbi Yossi's opinion. No, what Rabbi was teaching us was Rabbi Yehuda himself would agree to Rabbi Yossi for a vital organ. So the three-way machlokis of if that vital organ is a treifa organ, or a nevela organ, or a mesa, immediate death organ, that's still a valid, those are all still valid opinions. Shaf Rabbi Yehuda, lo nechal akalav, even Rabbi Yehuda does not disagree with Rabbi Yossi, ele b'davar she'ein neshama tlibo, only for a non-vital organ. Like I gave the example, the tail, or the ear, or the foot, the bottom part of the leg. We also know in Chulin that losing the leg above the knee, that makes it a treifa, but below the knee does not. That was, remember the Mishnah, min arkuva lamata. The arkuva was the knee joint, apparently. So above that would make it a treifa, and that would be neshama tluyaba. Good. So Rebbe is actually explaining to us when Rabbi Yehuda agrees with Rabbi Yossi. He's saying nirin divrei Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yehuda. Good. B'davar sheneshama tluyaba. Shaf Rabbi Yehuda lo nechal akalav ela b'davar she'ein neshama tluyaba. Aval b'davar sheneshama tluyaba modeles. Rabbi Yehuda agrees for something that neshama is tluyaba, or something that maybe makes it nevela, treifa, or mesa. That would be the definition, three different definitions of davar sheneshama tluyaba. By Rava asks a great question. Ba'of mahu, in the shita that kedusha spreads, the shita of Rabbi Yossi or Shimon, what about a bird? Birds are a little bit different. We understand a bird might be missing a little bit. We're a little more makel by birds. It could be missing something and still not be a balas mum. So maybe it's dafka by behema, where it's a balas mum, and as the pasuk says, behema dafka, maybe it's dafka. We're going to see. By Rava, ba'of mahu, could kedusha spread in a bird? If you're makdish the wing of a bird, would that wing take flight and give kedusha to the entire bird? Behema amar Rachmana, it says behema in the pasuk. V'hala behema he. A bird is not a behema. Odilma, but maybe karban amar Rachmana. It also, the pasuk also says carbon. V'hai nami carbon. The bird could be a carbon if it's a tur ben yona. It's a young dove or a turtle dove. Those are valid to be a carbon. Teku. So we don't know. So teku famously stands for tishbi yataretz kushia subayis. That tishbi Eliyahu Navi will come and will answer the questions we can't answer. But it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to realize that if we could answer the question, we need to learn the Gemara and the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch so we know the answer to the question. That when Eliyahu Navi comes, he's not going to teach us Chulin and Temurah and Kodshim. We need to learn that. Only the things that we can't figure out right now, that's what Eliyahu Navi is going to teach us, God willing, very soon, because we're missing our Beis Hamikdash right now. Bai Rava asks another great question. Hikdish Aver Ledamav. He's makdish the limb of an animal for its value. Ledamav means for the money. So he's saying this foot, this leg of the animal, is kadosh to be sold, and then we're going to use that money to bring a carbon. Mahu detechus le kedusha, kedushas haguf. Would this limb get kedushas haguf by an entire animal? If you're makdish an entire kosher, valid tam animal for its money, that actually gets kedusha. We're going to see for the entire animal for the mizbeach also. There's a distinction here. Kedushas haguf means kedusha for the mizbeach, and kedushas damim means this animal is hekdesh for the value. We're going to sell this animal to bring a carbon. But if this animal was good enough to be a carbon itself, then when you make a kedushas damim for the money, that spreads and becomes a kedushas haguf. It upgrades in a sense. So mi amar, do we say kiven de nachtale kedushas damim? Since it gets kedushas damim, it gets kedusha of money, financial sanctity. Nachtale nami kedushas haguf. It should also get kedusha in its body to go up on the mizbeach. Mida akdeshe lachad aver akdeshe lekula. And since he is makdish one aver, one limb, one part, it should spread to the entire animal. Udil machad migo amar trey migo lo amar. Migo means since. We see this concept of migo, since something, we could say something else. See this a lot all over Shas. But could we make, basically we're saying, could we make two assumptions here or just one assumption? Because we have an assumption, if we're makdish one limb, maybe it spreads to everything. We also have an assumption, if we're makdish only for financial sanctity, only for kedushas damim, maybe that could upgrade into kedushas mizbeach, but maybe we can't say both assumptions at once. We can't say both migos. Tifshut limited day. So Rava should be able to answer his own question. Tahamar Rava, because Rava told us, hikdish zachar ledamav. He holds, if you're makdish a zachar, a ram, for its financial sanctity, Kadosh Kedushas Haguf. So it upgrades. We upgrade the sanctity. Not only is it has financial sanctity, you can't use this animal. You have to sell it and bring a carbon. But since it was valid to be a carbon, we're going to make you bring this animal up on the mizbeach because it has Kedushas Haguf now. So Chasam there to Akdosh Lekula. So Rava says maybe we can't answer Rava from his own teaching because by there you're makdish the entire animal. But here, you're only makdish one limb of the animal, so maybe Rava wouldn't hold that spreads into the entire animal and makes the entire thing get kedushas haguf, not just kedushas damim. So what's the answer? Take it. We don't have an answer. Again, we're going to have to ask Eliyahu Navi and ask Rava if you ever figured this out. A little more, by minei Rava. So they asked Rava, hikdish chad aver mahu begiza. Could you shear it? If you're makdish one aver of an animal, could you still shear the animal? We know by Kodshim we can't do Giza and Avoda. We can't shear their wool, and we can't make them work for you because they belong to Hekdesh. So we should be able to answer this from what the Brisa taught. Lo tigos bechor tzonecha. This is a review of bechoros now. You cannot shear the bechor, the firstborn of your flocks, of all tagozes b'shalcha b'shalacherim. But if it was a mixed ownership, that a non-Jew owned part of the animal, that you would be allowed to do Giza on that animal because it was owned by a Jew and a non-Jew together. It's only Tzonecha, only Jewish-owned animals, you cannot shear the Bechor. Hasam lo nachta le kedusha klol. But an animal that's owned jointly by a Jew and a non-Jew, remember Rabbi Yisai, this was how to get it out of kedusha's Bechora. If the non-Jew owns part, we say an important part of the offspring of the animal, of the Bechor, it doesn't get kedusha as a Bechor at all. So hacha nachta le kedusha, but here when you are makdish part of an animal, it does get a kedusha. It's not like a co-owned, jointly owned Jewish, non-Jewish bechor animal, which never gets a kedusha. So therefore, the ability to shear that jointly owned animal is not a proof to
a partially kadosh animal. Lishnachrina, another version, chasam over there by the bechor, en biyado lahakdisho, you can't make it kodesh because it's jointly owned. Hacha biyado lahakdisho, but this animal is only owned by a Jew, the Jew simply being makdish part of the animal. So maybe we can't answer from there whether it's usher to shear this sheep. Bai minei Abaye mirava, so Abaye asked mirava, hikdish ora mahu, use makdish the skin. So mahu be'avoda, could you work the animal? So we heard before, if he's makdish the ubar, you shouldn't work the mother because it makes it a little weaker, makes the offspring a little weaker, a little smaller. Tashma, let's learn. Ha'omer masha b'me'eha shelzos. We're bringing this teaching right now. Whatever's in the belly of this animal, it will be an ola. When it comes out, it'll be an ola. So muteris begiza, you can shear the mother sheep. Basura be'avoda, but you can't make it work. Kichush ubar shabaks. It makes the animal, the offspring, weaker, and that's going to be an ola. You can't make the ola weaker. Amarle ki katane asura be'avoda. When that's teaching that you can't work the mother animal because it makes the fetus weaker or smaller, midrabanan. That's only a din derabanan. It's not deraisa. Ihachi afilu begiza name titzar. So if the rabbis are saying you can't work the mother animal, so you also shouldn't shear the mother animal. Amrle avoda the michsha vlad. So the avoda working it makes the fetus weaker. You understand they're competing for nutrients. Gazri barabanan. That's when the rabbanan make gezerah. But giza lo gazri barabanan. But just shearing it, there's no gezerah. It's not going to make the offspring any weaker. But maybe by the skin, we didn't answer the shaila, and they're not going to answer the shaila. Maybe by the skin, if he's maktish the skin, it would be usher to make the animal work because it would make the skin lesser. Now, of course, you're going to ask. The skin should be a vital organ, maybe, because the skin is very important. Because we learned in Chulin, if you took the skin, it's called the gluda. It's called the skinned animal that makes it a treifa right away. But here again, as long as the skin's still on it, it's still a whole, complete animal. So it's kind of tzurech iyun on the status of the skin, and the Gemara does not answer the question. Chazak v'uch, yashar koach Rabbi. Thank you.